stop talking about our leagues now and start helping people with theirs. So let's do our pickup, Steven.
All right, let's start the shallow pickup with Trevor Moore.
Yes, Trevor Moore, who is on my team because I picked him up. He's available in 59% of leagues. And this is someone who was a little bit of an afterthought going into the season because he was often playing on a line that was sort of checky in nature, right? It's with Philip Deneau and Victor Arvidsson, and then with Pierre-Luc Dubois coming onto the team, it wasn't really known where, if Deneau becomes the third line center, then does that mean Trevor Moore's a third line left winger? But it's not how things have played out. In part because of the injury to Arvidsson, Trevor Moore is playing on the second line. He's been really great. 11 goals, 19 points in 19 games. Last year was the unluckiest shooter in the entire league, 6%. This year, shooting 20%. So what it tells me, on one hand, I think you could argue he's a sell high. That's quite possible, but pick him up still, and then you can sell high in a few weeks. On the other hand, he is playing with Kevin Fiala. That's not his normal line mate, and I think that he's being set up for better looks this year because Fiala is such a good playmaker. So it's possible that he does end up with a higher shooting percentage than normal for the entire season. It's probably not going to stay at 20, but I do think we're looking at a career year from Trevor Moore, who already has eclipsed last year's goal total. He's done it in 19 games.
All right. The medium league pickup of the week is Alex Lyon, and that was a very important pickup for me. I did pick him up. He had a great game. I think it was like 38 saves or something like that. That really kept me in contention when I really needed it on the final day, to the point where I might actually keep him here now too.
Yes, he's available in 81% of leagues. I'm actually surprised that he's owned in that many because, of course, the Red Wings have Ville Husso and James Reimer. It's not like there's an injury. They're carrying 3 goaltenders right now. But we know, based on the way Steve Yzerman has behaved the last couple of summers, this is very much a win-now operation. They're going to roll with whatever's working. They need to make the playoffs in their mind this year. So if they have a goalie who's hot, they're going to keep rolling with him. And Derek Lalonde has said that. They're kind of going with the hot hand. Alex Lyon has started 3 out of the last 4 games for the Red Wings. He's got a .952 save percentage. And I don't know if it's going to last. Of course, he's a guy who's been a career backup at best. But it seems like the hot hand approach is going to stick, so you may as well ride him. Even if you just have him for a week, he might help you. He might give you a short-term boost. And goaltending is so random, it's not inconceivable that he ends up taking the job and running with it. He did that with the Florida Panthers last year down the stretch. He took the job from Sergei Bobrovsky, who won it back in the playoffs. But the point being, Alex Lyon has done this before. It's not like he's completely out of nowhere. So I think it's worth adding him in a medium league to see just where this goes. I don't think I'd add him in a shallow league just yet, but medium and bigger, I would go that route.
Okay, I like that one. Yeah, for me, I'm just holding on to him. For the start of the year, I had just one goalie. We needed 3 starts, and we only had 1 goalie slot. And I just like, okay, Georgiev's getting all the starts. Let's just do that. But they've actually not been playing him every single night. And I picked up Demko basically for free because someone dropped him by accident. And so picking up Lyon has been, that was helpful last night. So I'm looking to really capitalize on whatever I can get out of him. The deep league pickup of the week is one of the newest San Jose Sharks, Calen Addison.
Yes, he's available in 97% of leagues. The note I wrote down was Addison sucks defensively, which he does. He's basically a specialist at this point. You're not using him for his ability at 5-on-5, but the specialist element is actually very actionable here. He is the power play 1 quarterback for the Sharks. They traded for him for a reason. Not a big surprise to see him installed in that role. He's got 4 points in his last 4 games, and 3 of those are on the power play. So Calen Addison in a category league where you have power play points as one of your stats is someone who can help you in a deep format. Even though he's not necessarily a great real life player, I think he can sort of function like a poor man's Tony DeAngelo.
Okay. Speaking of Tony DeAngelo, a guy that struggles to stay in the lineup in a full-time basis. So there is that. The WTF pickup of the week is Nikolai Ehlers out of Winnipeg. Now, when it comes to him, we've talked before, being Mark Stone being one of your guys you just don't want to draft because of his injury history and everything. For me, it's Ehlers is my guy. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that's fair because he burns a lot of people with those injuries. And I think that's why his ownership is surprisingly low. He's available in 63% of leagues. So I'm getting the sense that people just got fed up and they gave up on him. Ironically, the giving up on him is happening in the season where he's healthy. He was banged up in the preseason, but he's actually played 20 games, right? So That's the definition of irony to me. He's being given up on when he's actually healthy. But I think what's happened here is he's on the second line. He's not playing on the top power play unit. But to me, just based on his actual raw talent, we know he's tremendously skilled. He's got highlight reel ability, as we've seen recently with the goal. I think it was his goal on the weekend, right?
Mhm.
Amazing speed as well. So I still feel like it's worth betting on him to climb back up that depth chart while he's healthy. He's got 51 shots on goal in 20 games. That's very useful. Scoring at a 25 goal pace, pretty decent. So if you're in a league that counts goals and shots, he's still helping you right now, even playing lower in the lineup. And if you just look at what he's done in the previous few seasons going into this one, yes, you're right, could not stay healthy, but was roughly close to a point per game in terms of his production. So I think if you're looking at the Jets lineup, I know Alex Iafallo has been a bit of a revelation, but just I still prefer to bet on talent in the long term. And I feel like eventually Ehlers is going to work his way up higher in the lineup again, maybe power play one again. And when he's healthy, he's someone that I think should be owned in, I don't know, 80, 90% of leagues. And right now he's owned in 37%.
Yeah, we saw what he could do, and like when he was healthy, full seasons a couple years ago. I have to stay away. I'm just nervous every single time because again, you look at him being injured all the time, but he's a you can't deny the talent. And he was one of my favorite. We talked a couple weeks ago about my favorite prospects, but watching him play in the World Junior A Challenge a couple years ago, and then with that same Denmark team going out there and surprising people, the World Juniors was one of my favorite storylines of the World Juniors and in the Christmas time hockey
Mhm.
spectacular. So I always want to see him do well. I can't trust him.